Welcome to Milan Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shakras, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at this really unexpected guest that has literally showed up at the door. So I've recently begun my second semester at East Tennessee State University, and I came home from school today to the studio compound to find a UPS truck in the driveway dropping off a box. And I was immediately very confused, because I do have a few outbound orders that should be bringing some supplies in. So, spoiler alert, I've ordered a Kawai ES520, and also, spoiler alert, I'm working on ordering a FP30X. They're not in stock yet, but I'm trying to find one that is. And I've also got a couple of other small, quality of life things, some cables and some, rack mount supplies. None of that should be coming in a CP88 box. So when I saw a CP88 box, I was like, hang on, what is going on here? So basically I was very confused, but the UPS guy said, no, this is for you. It's got your address on the side of the box. So before you get fired up that I'm opening up someone else's mail, it literally has my address of the studio on the side of the box. So it was legitimately sent to me. But what's in here is not a CP88. I know that much. So we're going to be taking a look at this today and seeing what it is and if it even works. Because I have, as you can see, taken a look inside and things aren't looking pretty. So the story of this box alone is rather interesting because on the side over here where it also has our address, the CP88 that once belonged in here originally came from Yamaha's distribution center, which appears to be in Illinois, and it went to Kansas City, Missouri, which is where the guitar center that this went to is. So it went from Yamaha to a guitar center in Kansas City. On this side of the box, it then says it's coming from Kansas City to me. Okay, but then there's also this over here that shows it going from a guitar center in Asheville, North Carolina to someplace on Van Story Street in Greensboro, North Carolina. So there's two different stories here. It's been all over the United States, and it's just, the story here is really crazy. So let's open this up all the way and take out whatever's inside of here out of the box and check it out. And just for reference, I've got some little bits in my pocket, so that's a little forewarning here. This isn't going to be pretty. Let's check it out. So here it is. Definitely not a CP88 and definitely nothing that I ordered. It's a Korg Triton Pro X. Now, the original Triton was a 63-key workstation synthesizer sampler instrument that originally came out in 1999. The Pro X model, I believe, was also released in 1999 and ran up until 2002. So it's actually older than I am. And it's a digital instrument, which is crazy. The serial number on the back is a pretty low number, if I remember right. Let me take a look at it real quick. I'll be right back. I want to get the number right. That's what I thought it was. 1,631, which to me in the modern era of digital instruments seems really low. So this might be a pretty early release of the Triton Pro X. But nonetheless, here it is. This particular, the Pro X was an upgraded version of the Triton Pro and even the original Triton. So it has 88 keys, which are actually weighted. Now, for example, one of my most recent videos as of making this was the Kawai ES920, and I talked about the noises the action made. This has a very noisy action. The amount of noise that it makes when you play it, it's so rattly and noisy. Like, actions have come so far since 1999 to now. The sheer noise it makes when they come back, notice they don't bounce though, it's an interesting thing to note, but the amount of noise they come back is insanely loud. The amount of noise they make when they go down is insanely loud, but aspects of this remind me of the RH3 made today, which has some significant improvements over this just by feel alone. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is an ancestor or even a primitive version of the current Korg RH3 that is used in all of their, well, not all of, but most of their high-end digital pianos and instruments made today. Now, here's where the story gets kind of sad, because a digital instrument was harmed in the making of this video, but I didn't do any of it. This instrument is in horrible condition. Absolutely horrible condition. And there's actually a sheet of paper sitting here next to me because from the Guitar Center in Greensboro, it went to Ohio. And there's some information here about it that says, used Korg Triton Pro X 88-key keyboard W, not repaired when sent to, and then some line of code. So apparently in Ohio, there's a repair shop that the Guitar Center tried to send this to. And let me just say that the repair person who was slated to work on this, they had their work cut out for them. I don't know if it made it to the repair shop, but then got returned and then randomly sent to me, or if it never made it to the repair shop. If you're a repair shop and you were expecting a Korg Triton Pro X to come in, let me know. But after seeing this video, you probably won't want to touch it because I don't know if it's fixable. Maybe it is if you're an electronic wizard genius, but you've got a bunch of missing knobs up here, not the end of the world. There's a huge dent in the front. This is well built. This is a well-built instrument. The top panel is all solid metal. It's a little rattly because it's loose, but it's solid metal. This front bit here is also solid metal. These parts here are, you know, like, they're not wood, but they're, you know, what do they call it? Like MDF, you know. So it's well-built, sturdy materials. The underside is also MDF, so it's a sturdy material. But yet it's seen such massive abuse, unlike any instrument I have personally ever seen. So you got this huge dent that happened here. There's a floppy disk drive. Man, that shows the age of the thing, doesn't it? That looks like someone released a Tasmanian devil inside of it. It is so mangled. It is unbelievable. It's like someone took the floppy disk out, ran it over with a semi-truck, and then put it back in. It is mangled beyond all belief. One really interesting thing about this is that the top panel of this actually literally just folds up, and I believe that's how it's supposed to be. There's 3 hinges in the back, only one of which is fully operational, so that's really nice. The one over here is completely torn out, the one over here is partway torn out, and the one in the middle is holding all the weight. If we fold this back, you'll see that it's literally a computer inside. Which is really fascinating. So there's what appear to be, they look to me, as a modern kid, they look like, you know, RAM slots in a modern computer, and you've also got some bigger ports over here that you could plug things in. I will plug this into the wall and see if it turns on. It may not turn on. Those may be missing components that are crucial to its operation, or they could actually be, you know, some sort of RAM that can expand the memory and the functionality of the keyboard. I'm not really sure. But you got all these cool electronic components in here, and I like how it just folds back. And again, the build quality in here too is really nice. You got some MDF and some metal and, you know, quality components, but yet this thing has seen a life of abuse, and it's actually kind of sad. Like, what it takes to damage an instrument that's this well built is beyond me. I mean, I guess you could throw it off of a moving truck or something, but, you know, bad stuff. This is, like I said, a well-built instrument. It weighs 63.5 pounds. It is not light by any stretch of the imagination. One thing I just realized is it doesn't have internal speakers, so I will need to plug it into some sort of amp or put headphones in, because there is a headphone jack that is all loose and bent at an angle. There you go, nice. So that probably doesn't work. But I do have it plugged in. It uses what appears to be the same power plug as my Korg SV2, so I went and took that power plug. I have it plugged in here. Should we try booting it up? Hopefully nothing bad happens. Oh, it turns on. It works. Can you believe it? It works. Like, this is crazy. The reason I'm expecting it not to work isn't because it's old and from 1999. It's because it's in such horrible condition. Now, the screen is difficult to read, shall we say. I think there's a screen contrast here. Let me play with that and see if that, where is it? Is that this? Ah, there we go. That's better. Now I can see it. Why that even exists, I don't know. The screen contrast on these old LCDs, because you'd think they just put it at the normal setting and just leave it there, because all other settings make it unreadable, but who knows. So it's a very old, you know, primitive, I don't want to say primitive, it can do a lot of things, but it's an old workstation type instrument that's unlike anything I have ever reviewed. I have had a lot of people wanting me to review an instrument like this, so I think what I shall do is hook this up to some, you know, equipment to be able to record the line outputs of it and see what it sounds like. I took some quick listens to the original Triton on YouTube, and it actually sounds pretty good. You might expect it to sound kind of old and dated because 1999. Digital stuff then wasn't as realistic sounding as it is today, but it sounded pretty nice. So I'm going to try to see if I can get this thing to work, and we'll try it out. So I still haven't quite gotten it like up and running yet, but it is on. A couple of cool things is that it's a touchscreen. I was wondering how you interacted with it, and I saw that it says touch view here in the panel, but I was like, there's no way it's a touchscreen, right? It's a touchscreen, which is really cool. The sound it's set to right now is called Dynamic Orchestra 1, and you can actually change, it's a layered sound. There's like 8 different layers to it. I haven't heard it yet, but it appears to be 8 or 9 different layers of sound. You've got woodwinds, a few different brass types of sound. You've got woodwinds, drums, timpani, flutes. If it's got all that in there, this might be really cool sounding. And you can actually hit this and we have a mixer, so you can change the volume level of these different sounds. There's also arpeggiators as well, so you can come in here and, oh my goodness, customize all kinds of arpeggiator stuff. And oh, It's all so foreign to me as the piano guy. But a couple of things I wanted to try out is, first of all, do the headphones work? Because the floppy disk drive is mangled beyond all belief, and the headphone jack appears to be as well. So I'm gonna try to, this isn't hopeful. Oh, it was very gummy. I don't like the way that felt. Nope, that doesn't work. I'm not surprised. Let me look at. That's not good, guys. That's not good. So I will try to run it into the normal way I record out the direct line outputs, and hopefully that will work. But yeah, got a touchscreen. That's pretty wicked. Actually, I think the last thing I'm going to do before I decide to plug this all in, which will be a little bit of an effort, is I'm just going to plug this into the direct line out for the left channel and just see if that works. I've never done that before, but we're going to try it. Something interesting is it actually has not only left and right outputs, but it also has individual 1, 2, 3, and 4 outputs, which is something I've never seen before. So let's put these on and see if... Oh, it works. Just my left ear, because I've got it coming out of the left channel, but it actually is working. Let me try the right channel and see. Okay, for some reason it's also just the left ear, but I hear things. How amazing. All right, let me go plug in the actual direct line output into my mixer and all that, and we'll go check out how it sounds. All right, so as you saw earlier, I put the headphones in and it didn't really quite work, but I did get half a signal. So right now I've got 2 cables, one going in the left, one going in the right, coming out of the back, and those are going to the mixer. Now the headphone jack on this doesn't work. I tried to look in there and it just is all loose and flopping around in there. I don't know what's going on. So I've got headphones on though, because these are actually coming from the mixer outside the whisper room. So I can hear myself speaking and I'll be able to hear this instrument, hopefully, once we turn this on. So I'm gonna hit the power button. The screen comes back on. And we're going to check out some of the sounds of the Triton Pro X. Now, workstations are not really the thing I typically review. I usually stick to digital pianos and things of that nature. But I have had a few people, asking for workstations and things like that. So if this video gets 20,000 views within the first month of uploading, so that'll be around the end of February. If at that time it has 20,000 views or more, I will download the owner's manual and give you as comprehensive of a review as I possibly can. There are some broken features and some dead keys, but with that aside, if this video gets that many views in that amount of time, I will download the owner's manual and give you a full review. If it gets 20,000 views in June, that's not going to happen. But let's just take a look here at some of these sounds. There's a whole wide array of things you can do with it, but like I said, I don't have the manual, and it doesn't appear to be at first glance incredibly intuitive. I feel like this is the sort of thing that it has a learning curve and you kind of have to get used to it. And once you know what it does, it's massively powerful, but when you don't know what it does, you're like, ooh, this is cool, but I don't know how to use it. And that's kind of the stage I'm at. But it showed up at my door, and how could I help but not make a video on it? So we're going to check out the first 20 or so sounds. The first one I'm going to show you is Dynamic Orchestra 1, which is pretty nice. From 2002, 1999, you'd expect them to be cheesy, and yeah, they are kind of cheesy. They're not as realistic as a modern synth or, workstation would be, but it's not bad. Let's have a listen. So there you have it. That's the Dynamic Orchestra 1. It's a very, very nice sound. Now, it's got a mixer in here, so I'm assuming I can come in here and I can probably change the volume of these different sounds. You got the woodwinds, you got the brass, and you got all these other things. So I can come in here and change and mix the volume of those, which is really splendid. But I'm not really going to dive into that today. If I do a full-blown review, I'll save that stuff for them. We'll check out the there's a drum kit sound in here called Ugly Mama Drum Kit. Really weird name, but it does some cool sounds. So you got drums and stuff in there, keyboard drums. There's all sorts of drum noises in here. This is one of my favorites that I've tried so far. It's a guitar layered with this really fat, ethereal synth sound. It's called My Baby's Asleep, and we'll check out this one. Like, that synth sound is so really nice to listen to. It's very, very fun. There's some good organ tones in here as well. They're all mixed up. There's no real order to anything. It's just kind of like, here's organs, here's synths, here's realistic sounds. Everything is all kind of mixed together. This one here is titled Knob as Drawbar 1. So perhaps if I turn knob 1, it does something? I don't know. However, you got some cool organ sounds. Take a listen. Quick little demo there of the organ sound. Now you have this pitch bend feature over here, which does all sorts of stuff. With the organ sounds, when you push the pitch bend up, it will turn on and off the Leslie rotary sim, which doesn't really sound amazing, but it gets the point across and adds some life to the instrument. You can also move the pitch bend as well, so So you can do pitch bend. You can also move this up and down. It reminds you of the joystick on a model aircraft controller, actually. So you have a lot of control here. You've also got this touch-sensitive pad that isn't... I mean, it's touch-sensitive, but you have to kind of squidge your finger in there pretty well to make it actually do anything. So it's not quite touch-sensitive, more pressure-sensitive. Let's check out a couple of these other ones here. This touch wheel, I'm assuming it's super sensitive because it's all wonky and broken. It likes to skip and jump sounds. There's one here called Big Jazz Band. Let's take a quick listen to that. So you've got things like that. You can see the touch-sensitive pad there I was doing some stuff with. Now, unfortunately, this very broken instrument has more things broken on it than just some buttons and some dents. You've also got a sticky E-flat key right there, so that's very nice. And then you've also got some keys down here that are also sticky as well. Not sticky, but broken, just completely dead. From this C to this G right down here, I'll turn that off, you get my point. From this C to this G here, they are all completely and utterly dead. They don't actually do anything. On either side, you get some sound. That sounds cool. But on either side of that dead zone, unfortunately, it's one of the good regions of the instrument that's just dead, so that's unfortunate. We can check out a few others in here. Leading Lady is fun. It's a synth sound layered with another synth sound, so you've got a lead synth up here, hence the name Leading Lady. And then you've also got a bunch of controls you can do with the pitch over here and stuff. So, and I'm assuming it's called Lady because it has kind of a feminine sort of voice kind of a tone to it. So this is more of a synthesizer and a sampler and a workstation, not so much a digital piano, which I typically review. For example, Sound 15 here, titled Bartertown, isn't even remotely musical. It's more of an ambient, grungy sort of a synthesizer sound that just sort of does its own thing and evolves over time. It's very unusual. So you can do things like that if you're into horror movie soundtracks. That's perfect, and in that sense, it's actually quite beautiful. It's horrifyingly beautiful, I suppose you could say. And you've got things like this DigiSyn Piano 1, Digital Synth Piano 1. It's a digital synthesizer emulating the sound of a Fender Rhodes, and it's obviously a synth emulating a Rhodes, but even so, it still sounds kind of nice. Up next, we have Ribbon Rappin', which has a really weird, funky bass line to it. So you can do all kinds of strange noises. 18 is pretty cool, called Rhythms and Bows. Check this one out. So you've got all kinds of cool stuff in here. It has a bunch of arpeggiators and things like that of that nature in here, and there's also got a sequencer that, when it was fully operational, these sequencer buttons are broken at the moment, and the sampling buttons are broken too. But you can do sampling, you can do sequencing, all sorts of powerful things in here that are really, really interesting. The last two here are called Stab and Split and Falling Leaves. I don't actually remember what those ones sound like, so let me noodle around with those and see what they do. So if you like those type of sounds, the Triton Music Workstation Sampler is honestly a thing for you. And I think the amazing thing about it is that even though it's on its last legs and is just sort of hobbling along and barely working in many aspects, the fact that I can still look at it and go, this once was a really great instrument that has a massive amount of functionality, really is a good thing. So, although this one is barely in working condition, you've got dead keys, you got, the sticky keys up here, things like that. It has power left in it still. And the really great thing is that if you wanted to get a fully functioning one of these, they're actually not that expensive. This once was a flagship workstation back in the day, but these days I've seen prices of them on Reverb and eBay and places for as low as $500. I've seen some at $900, which even still isn't that expensive compared to what something like this would go for today. Korg's current flagship workstation is probably a lot more than that, I would imagine. But if you wanted one of these, you could get one in fully working condition relatively easily, which is, I think, excellent. So for those of you who've been wanting a workstation review, here you go. Here's a workstation that just arrived at my door for no reason. I was not expecting this. I did not order this. It's a bit outside of my league, but here you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I don't know how it has come into this position, how it came in this condition. Like, the floppy disk drive is completely mangled, this dent, you got the busted up buttons, it's just in horrible condition. You got those busted hinges in the back, all sorts of terrible things, unspeakable things have happened to this instrument, and I don't like it. But nonetheless, it is here. And I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video of the Triton Pro X. If you did, you might want to go check out my channel. I mostly do videos of digital pianos, as well as acoustic pianos and other similar instruments. I've never done a workstation video before, but I do hope you guys liked this, seeing me mess around with synth sounds and things like that. I haven't really done that too much before on the channel. So if you liked it, you might want to go check out my channel. Again, if this video gets 20,000 views by roughly the end of February, about a month after I post this video, I will get the owner's manual. If I still have this, I know someone who's interested in taking it from me. But if I still have it, I will download the owner's manual if I can find one, and I'll do a much more in-depth review covering all of its arranger features and functionalities and all kinds of stuff like that. But for now, this will do. This little introduction video to this poor little terrible, well, it's not terrible, but it's in terrible condition. Poor little instrument that has made its way to my studio for no apparent reason, and thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.